Welcome to the Behind the Brand segment of Conversational Currency, which is powered by the Speakers Retreat. Conversational Currency is your one-stop location where you will learn the value and the importance of social skills in the digital era. The Speakers Retreat is your 3-day done-for-you service collaborating speakers from all over the world, hosted by Pure Potentials and Jackie McClinigan. Today, we have a special guest. We have Eileen Head. But first, Eileen, my audience likes to know the why behind the what, the story behind the success. So please, tell us your story.
Well, even from a young child, I always wanted to be connected to my family. I have 3 older brothers, 3 years between us. We lived on a farm. And, it just felt like we were individual planets rotating around each other. And we would, we'd bump into each other. But there wasn't that connection that I really yearned for. And so as I grew into adulthood, I met my husband at 16 and married him at 18. And I thought we'd be married forever and that he would be my Prince Charming. We were good people, had the same values, same morals, same goals. And yet it just seemed like there was a glass wall between us. I could see him, but I wasn't able to connect with him or engage him, at least in a way that I needed. And I didn't know why that was. And I searched for answers everywhere. I read stacks of self-help books. I read marriage manuals. I took workshops. And it just seemed like everything that I attempted created more distance between us, more pressure, more tension. And he would shut down, and he was my silent partner. And so I would more intensely attempt to engage him, which in retrospect, I now know that didn't work. And so after about 35 years of attempting to figure this out, what happens when we are unable to do that? We give up. Our relationship energy dies, and we come to believe that the other person just doesn't love us, or at least love us in a way that we need. And what I learned later was he didn't know what I needed to feel loved because I didn't know that. And so as I left that marriage, I found the Enneagram personalities, and it was the biggest aha moment in my life. It was like I knew there were answers because I would see other couples and they would be so comfortable with each other. They'd be so relaxed. And we never felt that between us. There was this expectations and frustrations of why can't you love me the way I need? And so after I left that marriage, I found the Enneagrams. And when I read my profile, it was like reading my own biography. It was all the things, a lot of things that I didn't know about myself, such as value, what people valued in me. And I went, that is the way I put my energy. But I didn't realize I was doing it for connection. That was my personality type. And so I was amazed. It was, and if you don't know your own value, you don't have a strong foundation. And you're going out there to all your relationships going, do you value me? Do you value me? Do you value me? And you get different feedback because different personalities are going to react to you differently. So it's very confusing. It's like living life with a blindfold on. And then it showed me my strengths, my relationship gifts, and it also showed me this other stuff over here that I didn't like quite as much, the challenges. And when I read those, they stung a bit, but I also knew the truth in them. And, when we take our challenges and we build them into strengths, that's where our real power comes from. And I really started to engage in the Enneagram. I was lit up, actually, because finally I knew there were answers. And then I read my husband's profile. And in about 35 minutes, I knew more about him, myself, and our relationship than in the 35 years we had lived together. And so I wanted to share this with other people. My personality is a 2 supporter helper. So I thought, well, I've been searching for these answers everywhere. Other people must be too. And you know, if we'd had this information sooner, it might have made a big, big difference.
Wow. Very powerful. Now, what I love about your work, Eileen, is that in our discussions about your work, the common theme that comes across both with men and women is the following statement. If my partner or if someone I dated had the words in terms of their personality written on their forehead, it would be so much easier to have known what I needed to know in that moment to save time and heartbreak and just overall disappointment. But with your work and understanding personality types, you actually get the label right across the forehead. Can you go deeper into why understanding the personality types in accordance with the Enneagram is so important to building deeper connections and relationships?
Right. So it's sort of like when you understand the 9 personalities, personalities are patterns of behavior. That's all they are. And when we recognize the patterns, we can understand the person and relate to them. So you don't need to know specifically what personality type I am or you are, but even understanding the 9 different types. And so in relationships, we don't marry or partner with someone who's our same personality. So what we do makes sense to us and probably doesn't make sense to the other partner. Why do they get so twisted out of shape about something so inconsequential to them? I've had people come to my workshops and say, now I get why my wife gets so twisted out of shape. And you can never really take your relationship to a very deep level of, who am I? Do you get me? Can you love me with all the parts of me? And so what's really cool about using the Enneagram personalities with relationships is you have common knowledge, you understand why your partner is reacting that way, and you can then support them without enabling. Because a lot of our relationships, we don't want conflict, we don't want the hassle. Okay, I'll just go along. It's just easier to go along. And then all the resentments and frustrations build up because neither one of us are getting our needs met. And so the Enneagram is, there's lots of information on the Enneagram out there, but what's unique about what I do is I have researched couple dynamics. That can be a boss, and coworker, it can be parents and children, it can be any combination. But specifically for couples, what is your fundamental core emotional need, and how do you get that met, and how do you communicate that? Because, you know, most of the time we go into these relationships, well, if he loves me, he'll know. I'm not going to tell him. He'll know. Yeah, no. And when we don't know that ourselves, it becomes that dance you're doing with blindfolds on, unconscious and unaware.
Now, very powerful statement. There's a saying, Eileen, that a relationship can never really die because when you think about that person, you invoke the same feelings, memory, and that person is essentially a part of your spirit. Now, with the understanding of the Enneagram and your vast knowledge of how this ties into relationships, how true or how close to the truth is that statement when it's validated by the understanding of the Enneagram?
Yeah, I'd say that's true. See, the Enneagram is unique from all other personality models in that it has what's called a path of development. So it just does not identify your traits and your quirks and your triggers and where you get stuck. It actually shows you what your patterns are that can be sabotaging your relationships and what behaviors and patterns to replace them with. Very specifically, it shows your stress pattern, so you can see yourself when you start to go into those different patterns from your normal that you're getting stressed. And the Enneagram has what's called a spiritual path to it. It's called Holy Ideals. So it helps you to become the best person you can be. It has 9 levels of behavior from the very healthy to the unhealthy. So I'll give you an example. I'm a 2 supporter helper. And I meant helping was my oxygen. I just love to be needed. Man, call me in the middle of the night. I would love that you did that. And so I loved helping. I had no idea that I could be intrusive with my helping. Who doesn't love helping? Why wouldn't you want my help? Along with that comes rescuing, enabling, taking other people's power away. In your need to be needed and appreciated, we can become too intrusive with our helping. And I went, wow, that explains some of the reactions I'm getting. So now I understand I'm better with boundaries. I ask before I help. My giving is unconditional with no expectation of outcome now. And that is what's unconscious about each personality. We do some of these things unconsciously, not knowing. That's what keeps us stuck in the box of our personality. And when you learn how to free yourself, so to speak, it transforms the person you are and your life. My life used to be full of drama, and I used to feel like I was like clothes on a clothesline. My hands were attached, but my feet were flapping in the wind. And I was somebody for everybody. I'm not like that anymore. I know my value. I have a very strong foundation. I'm very grounded, and it's given me the confidence now to speak up and to speak effectively to other people. Even when they're upset with me, I can really calm things down by validating why they might be upset, and then we can have a discussion about, what's upsetting them. Let's go to solution. What do you need? Let's see if we can work this out.
Now, for the giver personality, there's so many different aspects that make up the giver personality, and you mentioned a key word, boundaries. In my personal life, I would have the statement, well, if you want my help, you also must take my advice and different things of that nature. And it never ends well, never ends well.
Because you're vested in the outcome.
Yes.
And you're doing that because you unconsciously feel that's your value. And when other people shut that down or refuse it, that feels like rejection to that personality type.
Yes.
And so now I can stand in, they're not rejecting me. They need to do this for them. Or, what it does is it makes life so much more interesting and juicy. There's such a wider perspective, and I enjoy other people's perspective so much more, having no aware of other people's perspective, so to speak, than our own. And that's what we tend to do.
Yes. Now let's take this concept a bit deeper into the application. There's a primary relationship that all men and women have, and that is with their parents, and that is the original relationship.
Right.
In many dating and marriage, as well as relationship scenarios, there's often the idea that, let's say for many men, they are dating the image of their mother in many cases, or you have the Oedipus complex, which also is a manifestation of that, and where a lady's relationship with their father, or sometimes relationship with mom, can lead directly to dating towards their parents, or going in a direct opposite and running away from them. Now, how can understanding personality types help to gain awareness and ultimately healing for a daughter to father, a daughter to mother, or son to father, or son to mother relationship?
Yeah, life's a healing journey. There's no question about it. And the Enneagram teaches us that our personality is formed by the age of 7 in our family of dynamics. So we look out there and we look at all the dynamics and we decide, I need to be a certain way and play a certain role in this family to get the most love and attention. Then these patterns that we develop become unconscious, They become our gifts, but also can keep us stuck with our previous comments. So when you can understand the personalities of your parents and the dynamics between the two of you, so my mom was a 2 like me, and my dad was a peace seeker. And so I ended up marrying a 9 peace seeker husband. Go figure. And probably because I married very young, right? I didn't have a lot of experience to, to heal that or have a larger perspective of that. And the dynamics between him and I were exactly like my parents. A lot of silences, passive-aggressive behavior. That's what we learned. And so when you learn the Enneagram, the purpose of it is to understand we're all doing our very best with unconscious patterns that we know nothing about. And sometimes in relationships, I've had a client who, she was a 9 peace seeker, and her dad was an 8 assertive personality. Very strong, very powerful, telling you what to do, shutting you down, stand up, be direct, don't cry, you're a sissy. And not all 8 asserters are like that, but in their lower patterns they are. And so she was very wounded by her relationship with her dad. And then she started to learn the Enneagram and learn that, in childhood they often felt overpowered by other people. So they learned to be strong and to stand up. And really for their children, they're trying to make them strong so that the world doesn't take advantage of them. That's not what comes across. So she learned the Enneagram, and then her dad went into hospital. And she went to visit him, had nothing to talk to him about. So she started talking to him about the Enneagram. And he wanted to know more. He was like, I want to know more. I want to know more. This is really good stuff. And she healed their relationship. Now, his patterns didn't change much. His patterns were so set. But she could see them as patterns and not as being unloving. When she could see behind that, he really did love her. It's that they guard their heart so much, that personality. And he actually did end up opening up his heart a lot to her, and they did heal their relationship, and it was beautiful.
Very powerful. Where can we learn more about your work, your movement, and your mission?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to reach as many people as I could with this information. And so I spent 10 years of research and 3 years to build an online program. I put my heart in it, my blood, sweat, and tears. And I've created an online program called Get Loved the Way You Need. And that's on my website, eileenhead.com. And this is a program where you will not find anything like this out there, because I've taken my self-development processes together with the Enneagram, and I walk you through processes, because a lot of times I find in the Enneagram community, people will go, oh, I'm a 2, that's just the way I am. And they stay, even though they have the information of it, they can stay stuck. And with my program, I teach a response ability. You have the ability to change your patterns once you become aware of them. And so this is it's actually, it sounds like it's for couples, but singles need to know it as well, because they need to know, what their patterns are, what partner will make them the happiest. If you're divorced, this program is critical for you to identify your part in that past relationship, how each of you didn't get loved the way you need, and how to heal and forgive and move on so you can attract a better partner and a much healthier relationship. And once people buy the program, all 9 of it, so they get the whole fundamental personality type, and then they can use it with their children, with their boss, with every relationship in their life.
Very powerful. On behalf of Conversational Currency, where we discuss the value and importance of social skills in a digital era, and the Speakers Retreat, which is your 3-day done for you service where you learn how to build a six-figure speaking business. I am Shadidi Laser. Thank you for tuning in.